Good evening, Beaver Falls. Welcome back to the Beaver Falls Lecture Series. We're really thankful to have you join with us this evening and to hear from a second group of local speakers. Once again, I just want to acknowledge all the different people involved in helping tonight happen. So we have the Beaver Falls Community Development Lecture Series Committee for their planning and organizing of this event. We have City House for financially sponsoring us every year throughout our 7 years, as well as West Banco and the Beaver Falls Recreation Board for their financial support this year. We have Human City Creative and the Social Voice Project with us tonight, helping with the live stream and sharing their expertise and technical skill with us. And we're live streaming here from the Carnegie Free Library, so we're really thankful to them for hosting us every year and this year in a new way. If you have not seen the last lecture, which you can still find on our Facebook page, the theme for the series this year is Stronger Together, Beaver Falls Amidst the Pandemic. And we essentially wanted to talk about COVID, which has been affecting us for the past year in a lot of different ways. And we wanted to create a space in which we could share together and hear from different people in our community in different fields to hear what it has been like in different areas of our community. And our hope is that it would be both informative but also like a unifying time where we can have a greater shared sense of community together and maybe a better sense of how we can be a community moving forward. So last time we had the privilege of hearing from Tonette Whitted and Angela Mano giving their mental health perspective, and tonight we're going to hear from small business owners. Just like last time, we asked each of them to prepare a short talk, and then we're going to follow up with questions. And if you have any questions for any of the speakers tonight, you can type them in as a comment on this video, and I will watch for them and be able to share them with the speakers. So, joining us tonight, we have Rebecca Bryant and Erika Kauffman from the Shelf Bookshop. Rebecca Bryant is from Southeast Texas originally and moved to Beaver Falls in 2015 to pursue her master's in higher education at Geneva College. She currently works as the executive director of Camp Conquest, an overnight camp for individuals with disabilities in Memphis, Tennessee. But thanks to the virtual world, she lives in downtown Beaver Falls and is co-owner of the Shelf Bookshop. Erika Kauffman is a 5-year resident of Beaver Falls. She's originally from Alaska, but has been living here for 5 years. She graduated from Geneva College with a major in communication in the spring of 2020, and she is now co-owner of the Shelf Bookshop. So thank you both for being here. And then we have Dana Stevenson, who is a lifelong resident of Beaver Falls. He graduated from Beaver Falls High School in 2005 and played on the state championship basketball team of the same year. He's now the creator and owner of Cash Out clothing brand, and we are super thankful to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you.
So yeah, just a reminder, I'm gonna ask the ladies to share a little bit about their experience in this past year, and then I'm gonna ask Dana to share, and then we'll have a question and answer time. So, if you'd be willing to kick us off.
Sure, thanks EJ. So we want to acknowledge, first of all, I think that our experience owning a business in Beaver Falls has been so different than most people. We're so new to the scene, and we did a holiday pop-up shop this year as starting out to kind of launch our business. And so I think our experience has been so wonderful because of the community that we have here in Beaver Falls. But I think our experience has been extremely different, and partially because the pandemic in some ways gave us the encouragement to be able to start this business. You know, it's been a year of new things and firsts for a lot of people. You know, people who have done so much in person have gone to virtual work or virtual programming. And so I think in a year of building the ship while we're, you know, floating in it, if you will, we've had to figure things out. And so that kind of gave us the spirit in this community to be able to start that. And so we were able to launch because of the pandemic and because it was a year to try things. Personally, for me, the pandemic gave me the opportunity to have the flexibility to start this. When this started last year in March, I was working for Geneva College and kind of thinking through what it might be like to make a leap to work in the nonprofit world with this camp that I've been involved with since 2011, but really was hesitant to make the jump. But kind of after realizing how much of our world could go virtual, was given the platform to be able to say, well, I can do this job in Tennessee remotely as I can do my job job that I lived 3 blocks away remotely. And so it really gave me the confidence to leap into that, which then led to the flexibility to be able to open the shop with Erika. And so I just feel like the flexibility of the pandemic, while has been hard in so many ways, really was a blessing to me personally and for us in our business.
There have been so many ups and downs the past year with COVID, and so by no means do I want to minimize the challenges and the hardships that COVID has brought for us too personally. And there for sure have been a lot of challenges for us as a business. So we knew the pandemic was already upon us when we were looking to open, and yet even still it was kind of that day by day of, you know, our grand opening is a week away and we're thinking, are we about to go in another lockdown? Should we not rent the storefront space? Should we move solely online? And there was just so much up in the air all the time, and yet there were also so many good things because of the pandemic. And like Becca already said, there were times that because of this strange COVID era that our lives were a bit more flexible. I graduated from Geneva during the pandemic, and my post-grad plans changed significantly because of the pandemic, but that also gave us an amazing opportunity to make our dreams a reality. And Riverwise came alongside us and partnered with us through their Community Builders Corps, which is a pandemic-focused initiative. So there are so many wonderful things that happened in this strange COVID era, and just so much support from small business owners, so much support from organizations and individuals in the community. And there was really this, like, not a new focus on shopping local, but there was a new awareness brought to small businesses and shopping local and really wanting to invest in the community during the pandemic. And that's something that, yeah, we're extremely grateful for. So despite all the challenges of the pandemic, there's also silver linings that came in it.
Oh, that's really encouraging to hear. And I'm going to not ask questions right now because even though I want to. So would you be willing to share just a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, no problem. First off, just thank you for having me, CJ. Let me be a part of this event and getting to speak about, you know, how COVID has affected me and my business and everything. So personally, COVID has been, you know, just as crazy for me and my household as it's been for pretty much everybody. We had just opened up our store in November when, you know, we did pretty good on our grand opening. The community came out and showed us a lot of support, and we were open for about 3 or 4 months, and then we were forced to shut down along with the rest of America. And, you know, now we're quarantined at home with the kids and forced to become teachers and forced to become business owners. And, you know, it's just trying to find a balance in between that. And being a business owner, I had to try to find some opportunity to, you know, stay in business, conduct business, whatever that may be. It's different for everybody. For me, it's selling clothes. So when I seen the pandemic hit, I'm like, masks, you know, them are going to be a big thing. I seen a post and I'm like, I got to jump on the way to get some masks. So that was the first, you know, opportunity that we took during the pandemic to stay afloat. We ordered, I can't remember the amount, but it was like 300 to 500 masks, and we did really well, and we sold out of those. So that kept us afloat and kept us in business. And over the next few months, tried to get some more masks, and then that's when things got kind of crazy with the pandemic, and we couldn't get any shipments in and things of that nature. So we were just kind of trying to find our way through and just make it from month to month, because we were in a lease to where we're locked in for like 2 years, so closing down wasn't really an option. So we had to keep up with what we needed to do. So I think during the pandemic, it has just been us finding creative ways to, you know, conduct business.
Wow, yeah, that's really cool. The masks thing I wouldn't have even thought of, but to be able to jump on that really fast sounds really key. Both of you talked about feeling like supported by the community, either when you first opened, which is kind of funny because you opened at a normal time, you opened in the middle of the pandemic, but both of your businesses were pretty young still at the time. What did support from the community look like, either when you first opened and then amidst the pandemic? How did that play out? What were some examples of that? And you can answer in either order.
For me, before the pandemic, we had a lot of foot traffic being a clothing store, that was kind of key for us, is to get people in to shop around. So I say foot traffic was the biggest difference after COVID hit. People were scared to come outside, people were scared to shop, so we weren't getting as much foot traffic as we were before the pandemic hit.
And did you feel like, is that, so like a lot of people, there's a lot of support at the beginning, and then when people get scared, did you feel supported, or did you feel like really isolated after the pandemic hit and it was like, we're trying to keep ourselves afloat, or were there others that came alongside?
Not isolated. I still feel like the community supports us as much as they can. It's just a different kind of support.
Yeah.
Not necessarily maybe spending money or coming to shop with us, but encourage us to stay open and giving us ideas to stay open and things of that nature, keeping us updated on opportunity to come on funding and things of that nature. Yep.
What's one of the ideas that people suggested for staying open?
Mask. I honestly got that from somebody else on Facebook.
Nice.
Yeah, the mask thing. So that was a big one that helped us out.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's not one I would have thought of. How about you? What did community support look like for opening, and because you opened in the middle of it too?
That's something that I feel like is just so different for us and from you, Dana, and from other small business owners, is that I can't imagine what it was like to be running your business and then have to think so differently about how you're doing things. So we were, that was different for us, and we were lucky that when we were planning, we had the luxury to think about accommodating like the space and thinking through the COVID guidelines. So I guess I didn't answer the question, but I said that anyway.
So good credit.
Thank you. Yeah, but support from the community, there was, still a lot of, we just didn't know what to expect at first. We thought, are people going to feel comfortable coming inside? How should we do our hours? Should we move them around? Can we, like a week before we thought, should we go online? Can we do that? And yet we were just really taken aback by the support that we got from people who were willing to step out and come inside. I think there was just an excitement too about something new's happening when so many things are having to shut down. And so, it was really encouraging to have people come in and say, can we get this book from you? And if that one wasn't available, they'd say, okay, then I'm going to get a different book because I just want to support you and we're going to get it from you. So we'll just change our reading plans. That's fine. It was encouraging.
Wow, that's really cool. What have been some of the biggest challenges that your business has faced? And maybe I'll ask too, like, financially, how different has it been? Like, and maybe that's an odd question for you, but maybe based on what you were projecting or what you would have expected in a normal time, you like comparing normal business season to a pandemic time. What is the financial difference that's been?
For me, the financial difference has been pretty significant. Like I said, we're not able to get we weren't getting as much foot traffic as we were before the pandemic hit. So basically, like I said, just been all up into our creativity on how we conduct business, finding new ways to get people to come out to the store or sell merchandise, online, finding new ways to promote our product and things like that. So it had a big effect on how much we've been bringing in, but there's, PUA out there and different PPA loans and things like that people can apply for. Me personally at Cash Out, I wasn't able to get any PPA loans or anything like that. So it's kind of just been on us to get it done.
Yeah.
I think for us, we really didn't go into it with financial expectations. Maybe that was naive, but part of the reason that we decided to do the pop-up was because we had so many questions about not only could our community sustain a bookshop, but in the pandemic, what would that look like? Do people read in Beaver Falls? Are people willing to buy their books not online? We have this great library, and so we knew that there were people who were interested in literature, but we didn't know if that translated to people wanting to own books. I think those are big questions, and so we kind of went in saying, okay, if we at least don't like lose our homes, we'll be okay. I live with friends, so if I didn't lose their home, I guess. But we just had very loose expectations, and I think for better or for worse, that worked well for us because we were able to kind of just hobble together and make happen what we could during that month that we were open as a pop-up. But I also think that because we were in the pandemic, we didn't really get the chance to do as much of the market research as we had hoped because it was such an odd year. We opened on Small Business Saturday, which we had heard from other businesses is the biggest sale day that you'll ever have. And so our expectations day one compared to, January 1st really declined. And so we had a great day, opening day. We're feeling really excited. And then we hear from everybody, yeah, that's everyone's biggest day. So don't sell your house for this day. And so, is that something people say? I feel like it feels like a saying. Don't sell your house for today. And so I think that, we just kind of weren't able to really understand what the typical Beaver Falls market would be like because we saw people that weren't, out as much, especially when things shut down in late December. People definitely weren't coming to the store as much, and when the weather got bad, it was easier to order things online, I'm sure. So we saw pretty consistent support throughout, but I think when we were thinking about this this month of research and experimentation that we were doing, I don't know that we really got that section right because we weren't able to really see what that would have been like. So we feel good because things ended up okay financially, but we don't have really a projection for what that would be like in the long run. So,
and is that factoring into, I don't know what specific plans are for possibly moving forward with the bookshop, or if that's going to happen or not. But does that feel like something that's financially feasible, or that's just a giant question mark as much as it was before?
I think we feel more, you can jump into it. We feel like more comfortable because we've seen the support of the community and kind of what they're interested in and what kind of books they want to buy. Would you say, do you feel that way?
I'd say we feel confident coming out of it too, because we didn't mean to at first, but we perfectly hit a time where we totally missed college students. And which worked out well with COVID guidelines anyways. And we also really we didn't want people to linger, which we would love people to linger normally and in the future, and we'd like to have more space. But so it was encouraging that even despite not having seating, despite not having coffee to drink, despite all of these things, there was still support and financial support for it. So we feel encouraged by it.
Yeah. This might be an odd question, but if you can zoom ahead 30 years or something, and you're talking to your grandkids about a pandemic season, what's going to be the top story that you're going to tell about your business from the pandemic time?
Wow, good question. I don't know. I'd probably have to tell them how good we did with the masks, and that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We sold out of 500 masks in 2 days, selling them from the porch,
From the porch?
Yeah.
Your house porch?
Yeah, well, the store was closed down, so we couldn't physically go to the store, so we were promoting the mask on Facebook, and Amazon and everywhere else was sold out, and people still had things to do, but you had to have the mask, obviously, to get in. So, yeah, we sold them all contactless on our porch. People would make the order, we would set them outside, and they would leave the money in the mailbox or something, Cash App, a whole bunch of stuff like that.
Wow. So you literally had stuff left on your porch, and people would just drive.
Yeah, it was hectic, but for sure.
I'm gonna tell my grandkids that story. Wow. Any stories from 6 weeks?
I'm so trying to picture my grandkids in 30 years.
They're going to be
nieces and nephews.
6 months old, so they don't really care. But if they were caring.
All right, maybe I need a bigger timeline.
Yeah, we're young. Come on. I don't know if this is maybe this is pandemic related because we might have taken more time to build out our shop better. But this was maybe the craziest thing that happened to us. The morning we were supposed to open, we were opening at 10 a.m. on Small Business Saturday. We have, the books are on the shelves. They're looking nice as we can get them. And, doing some last minute tinkering as you do. And I go to rearrange a book on the top shelf, and all 3 shelves just fall off the wall onto us. And so we're sitting there. We have a couple friends that have come to help us open the shop in the morning, and we're all like, drilling these shelves back on the wall when the shop is opening in 2 minutes. So I feel like that was our big kerfuffle.
Yeah, the books on our heads. Yeah.
Not the pandemic's fault, I will say that. It was our engineering fault. Yes, the walls were curved.
The walls were curved. I want to transition a little bit to thinking about, to hear kind of your impressions of Beaver Falls as a community, like as a whole. What do you feel like, and this could be based on talking to people as they come in, or just your impression of like kind of watching from whatever, storefront windows or whatever, but what have you noticed about the community in this time, and maybe what's some of the biggest challenges that you've seen other people encountering, or maybe I'd say like our community as a whole encountering?
As a community, I feel like, you mean like during the pandemic? It's a small town, and there's not a lot of opportunity around here, so I feel like financial, money is probably the biggest setback for people around here, is being able to, find money and ways to stay afloat and keep their household in order.
Yeah, that seems to be true. Same or anything different?
I'm ready to answer your questions, CJ. I would say the things that we kind of noticed during the pandemic is that our community is a very face-to-face community. I think that we saw, even when things were shut down, that people still wanted a place to interact and to run into people and to kind of have that familiar, just like casual interaction with people, where we weren't gathering at church or at events in the same way. People really wanted to come in and say hi and have these rhythms of life that they've always had. And so we had people that would come into the shop almost every day, just kind of as a part of their walking route or, on their way home from work or to work, just to kind of say hi and have a place to stop in for a second. And they didn't always buy something, maybe they browsed for a little bit, but it was just nice to get to be a part of the community and just to see how much of that is that face-to-face interaction, how much people really were missing that and maybe kind of suffering because they didn't have it.
Yeah, that's definitely something I feel like I've noticed too. And even just in the past couple weeks, it's gotten warmer. I feel like the streets feel like so much fuller with people walking around in the summer. Yeah. Oh, it felt so good to just be driving down the main street. I'm like, oh, people. There's so many. Maybe in light of that, both like financial and like face-to-face or maybe social like challenges that we're facing. Are there specific ways that you imagine or would hope that the community is able to overcome those together, or patterns that we could adopt that would try to help address that? Either of those?
Not sure if I feel like they're already doing that right now as a community. I feel like it's pretty resilient people we are around here, so people are used to bouncing back, and I feel like people are finding their way and bouncing back now. Like you said, there's life outside and people are walking around, and I'm still in business. People are still shopping, downtown with small business, so I feel like they're doing that now.
Does that feel like something that's really important, like for the community to make this concerted effort to be shopping as locally as possible? Is that going to be a key of how maybe businesses in our area survive?
For sure. I feel like being a small business in our area, we rely a lot on, community support. And to piggyback off what they said, the pandemic has brought a lot of awareness to small business and bringing us a lot more customers, and people are aware of our struggle. So they want to support us, whether they buy just the smallest item we have. It's just something to support us. So yeah, for sure.
That's encouraging to hear.
It's been from when we first started thinking and dreaming about opening up the bookstore during the pandemic, we were thinking, how can we do our best to support parents who, like you had said, you're now a teacher and you're at home with your kids, and we think it's really incredible what we've seen in the community as far as learning pods and people just making spaces to help out parents now that everything has changed so much, and that's something that the rhythms moving forward of that coming together as a community, you know, even if we don't have kids and here, but to still support the kids in our community and support the parents, and just listening to what parents need, especially when we can't be giving something tangible like childcare during this time of, can we provide a space where parents can bring their kids during the day and just get out of the house, see something different, find a new book. And that's been really encouraging to see throughout this time, and I think it's encouraging to know what that's going to look like, despite all the challenges, what that's going to look like in the future post-pandemic.
I have a specific question for Dana. Someone asked, how do you think being a lifelong Beaver Fall resident played a part in opening your business? Did that feel like it made it easier for you to get the word out, or do you think that had an effect?
For sure, being in the area, you know, my whole life definitely made it a lot easier to get the word out and to get people to, you know, come out and support. So yeah, for sure.
What were the primary channels? Excuse me. Like, was it primarily word of mouth advertising or online, or?
Word of mouth for sure. Word got around the community pretty fast, but Facebook helped with that as well, helped expedite that as well. Facebook was a big tool for us, you know, planning our grand opening.
I might switch that question. Neither of you are originally from Beaver Falls. Did that make it feel possibly harder to open a business, or did you feel that any effect? Did that come to mind at all?
I think we definitely thought about it. You know, we think a lot about who belongs in this community and what the business community is like. And so I think we definitely experienced some imposter syndrome early on of thinking, you know, there are all these people who have these great ideas that live in Beaver Falls, so many creative people that have done things that are so much, maybe not more invested, because I feel like we are, you know, emotionally invested in you, but just know the community better and have more of a foothold here. And so I think early on we kind of thought, well, who are we to get to do this and to get to jump into it? But we definitely experienced so much support from this community, and actually think maybe it's one of the easier places in the country to open a small business, because people really believe in one another and people understand the struggle of small business, and the small business community is just so supportive, and we had so many amazing people come alongside us, and that even though we were kind of outsiders, if you will, we really felt welcomed in the community.
That's really neat. Are either of your businesses part of the Business District Authority? And has that been an active group, to your knowledge, during this time, or has that also just been a challenge?
It's kind of been a challenge for us, for sure.
Not knowing how to operate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if
They helped spread the word about us at the beginning, primarily over social media. Facebook was huge. And so that's our biggest connection with the Business District Authority, and the little bit of time that we were open, we were well supported by them, just at least getting the word out for us.
That's good to know. What's been the biggest surprise for you as a business owner throughout the pandemic? What's something that was just like, oh, I mean, I guess the whole pandemic is I did not see this coming. But after the initial shock, what was the biggest surprise that hit?
For me, it was how much opportunity that you can find in the pandemic. Like, you know, most people talk about everything bad in the pandemic, but as a business owner and an entrepreneur, I thought about all the opportunity that was created by the pandemic. Like these girls were saying, gave them the confidence and the courage to open up a business in the pandemic. It's think it's creating a lot more entrepreneurs and bringing that entrepreneurial spirit back into America for small businesses to exist. So just in Beaver Falls alone, I feel like we had a lot of small businesses opening up and continue opening up through the pandemic. So
Yeah.
Honestly, the biggest shock is that we are small business owners just from the pandemic. That's a shock. Yeah, so maybe it's like a backwards answer, but I feel like it's going to be shocking for Becca and I after, I don't know, whatever that means, after the height of the pandemic. I think it will be shocking to see how things may operate in normal times, because that's something we haven't experienced yet. That, I don't know.
Oh,
that'll be a shock.
Normalcy. Yeah. I'm just going to ask one more question before I kind of wrap up the time, but what is like one thing that you would want Beaver Falls as a community to know right now or to hear right now in this time? And I might ask one from each of you if that's all right.
For me, being that we're talking about, business, I'll keep it at that. I feel like Beaver Falls should know that small business is coming back and our town is rebuilding and coming back. We were speaking off camera earlier, and I was telling you I watched a video that was telling the history on Beaver Falls, and it was saying there was like, don't quote me, but I think it was like 1,000 and some odd businesses were open at the same time on 7th Avenue. So that was like real encouraging and eye-opening to see like where we've come from as a city and as a town. And I think that's a great place to aim to rebuild to get to.
Yeah. So this is a quick aside, kind of going off of that and your answer to the last question. You were just talking about like this is the time for entrepreneurs. Do you think there's a specific way that we can encourage like specifically our youth in this time to be thinking about like to be seeing this time as an opportunity? I know that school is, we were talking a lot about school last week or last lecture series. School is like a rough time.
Yeah, for sure. My son is only 11 and he runs the business with me. So that is hopefully he's setting the precedent and, motivating some kids out there to follow their dreams and, have that entrepreneurial spirit. As far as encouraging them, hopefully, some people, that's a small business for somebody to open up to help kids, with their entrepreneurial skills, hone in on those skills and teach them those things. I don't feel like that is readily available around here. So that was a great question and bring some awareness to people who are watching to, kind of maybe start something like that up. And if any kids that are out there watching or any parents out there watching that want to, their kids have questions. I'm in the clothing business, retail, but I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So if any kids have any questions, they can definitely feel free to ask me. I would never mind helping them out with that.
Yeah, and that's a really amazing experience that your son has at 11 to already have that in his mind. Yeah, and that would be amazing to give more kids that kind of opportunity to just, I run a business with my dad. That is something really
I'm
neat.
33, but I feel like, I'm a kid at heart, so I'm probably the biggest kid in the store, so, just look at me, and I'm a living example, so.
Yeah. Nice. Sorry, I can't actually remember my own question, because I think like, okay, what's the one thing you would want Beaver Falls to hear in this time?
That was really encouraging. I feel like my thing is less encouraging, but just as important. I think the thing that people should know is that your neighbors have fascinating interests. And I say that because we saw the books that people ordered, and I feel like I can't out people for the books that they ordered, but just like some things that you just wouldn't think about people being interested in, whether it's, an interesting outdoor hobby, or we had this little girl come in, she must have been 6 or 7, I haven't out her, and she came in, she said, do you have any books on Abraham Lincoln? And we didn't. I mean, there aren't a lot of children's books out there on Abraham Lincoln, I think, but we didn't, and we took her back to, our historical section and our memoirs, and we were like, there's this giant book on the presidents that's like 3,000 pages long. Well, that's not what she's interested in, but like a week later, we did get a book donated that wasn't Abraham Lincoln, and we got to call her and say we got a book in. But I think just overall,
Did
like,
you take her,
we did not. We posted it on Instagram. We said, whoever you are, please come back for this book. And her mom saw it and brought her back. So that was really sweet. But I think like people were just interested in so many fascinating things. And I just think like you would never know that there's such a diverse interest and such like a hunger for stories and reading and being exposed to other cultures and perspectives that we really saw people being invested in, which is really cool.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. Really, thank you. Thank you for welcoming us and encouraging us. It's just been when we've been questioning what we're doing and unsure about ourselves, it's just been incredibly encouraging to have the community of Beaver Falls keeping up with us and asking us and customers getting a book and then saying, okay, please let me know what's happening next. I want to know. I want to keep coming back. And that's just been unreal and so humbling to us. So just thank you.
I'm waiting on you guys. I liked your bookstore. I got to
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, please let me know when the new pop-up is or wherever it is.
We'll post updates. Like, follow, and share.
Like, follow, and share, yeah. You guys both have Facebook groups, Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, follow, and share local businesses.
For sure.
We would like to just thank you all for coming and speaking with us. We have a card from the lecture series committee and some cookies from local business, Beaver Falls Coffee and Tea Company.
Thank you very much.
Just as a small thank you for your time and your presence in our community. We really appreciate you all being here. So, yeah, thanks for being with us. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. We will be having our third and final lecture series 2 weeks from today, April 7th at 7 p.m. on this page, and we'll be hearing, watching a short video provided by our local medical system, Heritage Valley. So we will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for coming.